Art of War sort of special UFC 200 recap edition. We're in the offices of Britton Chiropractic. I'm Dr. Anthony Britton, and this is Professor Brandon Bender. So what's going on? You were MIA, I think, the last podcast. So
yeah, definitely MIA. Busy. Daddy life.
Daddy life. I know it well. Legs coming along.
Legs coming along. Hurts. Got a fracture in the big bone. You know what that's called? I don't know what it's called. But yeah, it's a slow recovery. It's probably one of the worst injuries I've ever had.
Well, as somebody who has fractured his tibia before, I feel for you. It's frustrating. I see you still grappling and rolling and making videos and stuff like that. So it's forcing you to evolve your game, right?
Yeah, it helps to teach. I gotta show stuff that I don't have to use my foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, it's a good thing you're not teaching Muay Thai.
I teach all Superman punches.
When I broke my shin, it was hot, like I just had to put all my still had to teach. I had to substitute for like a couple days, and then once I got my permanent cast on, I was still teaching. I just stood entirely on one leg, and then I couldn't show kicking. Obviously,
you shattered it, or you cracked it?
No, it was nice, clean. So I had a hairline fracture already, but I didn't know. The doctor said, you must have had a hairline fracture, because I said, it was bothering me a lot. I was in a lot of pain before that. I just thought I had a really bad bone bruise, and it broke so clean. So it's like I had like a little guide going through there, and then it broke perfectly clean right through. Which, because it broke so clean, and the pieces didn't move apart from each other. So they didn't like go in and use pins or a plate or anything. You're just like, all right, well, let's just put you in a cast and hope for the best, and it'll heal just like that. And so it took 6 months.
Kicking trees is probably not a good idea. Right? If you were really trying to harden your shin.
Well, there's a thing called Wolff's Law. Wolff's Law is pertaining to the tissue structures of bone, and that anything that you put under stress, there will be a reaction. The reaction in the bone will be to grow and increase in its density. So what guys are doing when they're kicking the trees, what you want to understand about this at home, if you're like, I'm going to kick a tree, is there's three things they're trying to achieve. One is they want their nerves to die, so that the pain from the nerves down the shin is dissipated. It's minimal, right? So you want to kick somebody and it hurts you. You don't want to check a kick and it hurts you to check it, and you're getting all this pain feedback.
See, I've heard some different stuff about that, because some people it doesn't hurt them, but I've heard from other Muay Thai guys that they've been doing all that stuff their whole life, but no matter what, it still hurts their shin when they kick.
There's certain spots and they could be kicking wrong, and people have different physiology and anatomy. Slightly, there can be slight differences. Like your tibial nerve can run in a slightly different place. Maybe it's a little bit more towards the front than it is on the inside. Usually it's on the inside, so you tell guys that's why they want to kick down, so they don't hit with that flat part of the bone. That's what happened. That's what happened to Anderson. That's what happened with Anderson against Wyman, was that the kick didn't, because it was an inside kick. Inside kicks you don't turn over, but because like the flat part, it's like a ruler. Like if you hit the edge of a ruler, the ruler's not going to break. But if you hit the flat side of the ruler's going to break.
It's just freaking me out now to start talking about it.
All right. So anyways, you can deaden the nerves and you can thicken the skin. Like, it makes sense, right? That's like you're going to build up a callus through repeated impact of the bone, just like they do when you're conditioning your knuckles and stuff like that. But then the other effect that they want is that you get these little micro traumas. So when the leg, let's say this is the leg and it's hitting, I don't know, let's say this is a tree. Because the leg hits a tree, you're getting on, that's what happens to your leg if you're not conditioned. If the leg hits a tree, you're getting these little tiny micro fractures, just little bitty breaks in the bone. And they will heal, and they will heal fairly quickly. And every time they do heal, the bone density increases, and that's the way you want it. Any vibration really through any limb, like a tennis player. If you see like a lifelong tennis player, and you were to really X-ray and measure, if you were to bone scan, they're gonna have one arm that's thicker than the other because of the repeated stress. So you can achieve that same bone density thing by kicking bags and not by kicking trees. But the killing off the nerves, that's the problem. Is guys kill the nerves off, they've damaged the nerve, right? They've created a peripheral neuropathy, okay, through trauma, and they think their shins are hard. They're like, see, I have really hard shins. No, you've killed the nerves. You haven't changed the structure of the bone. To change the structure of that bone, for bone to remodel in that way, takes about 7 years of concentrated efforts. So, if you don't have 7 years, then work on your accuracy. And don't.
So probably don't kick.
Listening, kicking's awesome, but you should know when to kick. You know when you can kick and when you can't kick. I always like to probe. I like to probe first. I throw stuff light, and once I have evidence that person's not defending that thing well, then I will throw harder.
It's almost like a takedown. You don't want to shoot a takedown unless you know for sure that you're gonna get a takedown, or else you're gonna be stuck on bottom, stuck in a turtle position. It's not gonna be good.
Yeah.
Don't want to throw a kick unless you know you're hitting meat.
You want to hit meat, either the thigh or that body. Although if you can give up a takedown if you're kicking to the body, or that neck. Just wrap your shin right into that neck meat. That's a wonderful feeling.
You probably snap your shin off someone's forehead, huh?
It's not like, you know what I mean? Like it moves. Like you could, if they dipped right into it for some reason. You ever see a guy try to duck underneath a roundhouse kick? Yeah. And you're like, whoa, that guy came within inches of getting killed, but somehow he got away with it. They always seem to get away with it. If you took him off the top of the skull, maybe, but because this is fairly light compared to the rest of your body, it seems like the leg is gonna move that, and so that's gonna take out some of the impact. So I've never seen anybody break their leg by kicking someone in the head.
You should try it out there. You should try to bring your forehead right there. See if you can snap somebody's shin when they're kicking.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with that advice, but young fighters, try that out. Just chin down, take that kick right off the top of the skull, and tell Coach Bender how you liked it. That'll go. I feel as though we should talk about that UFC 200. You watch it?
That's a letdown for me.
The event?
The whole event was a letdown for me. I liked the Kane Brown fight.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even watch the Misha fight.
You didn't watch the Misha? Oh, so you're mad about that?
I didn't it wasn't interesting to me.
It wasn't long. All you have to do is watch the highlights.
Yeah, I saw the highlights.
It
was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Edgar Aldo was good. Brock and Hunt was boring.
That was. Whew.
Yeah.
It was a guy who didn't want to get struck, making sure he didn't get struck. But people where I was watching it, I don't know. I was in Brockland. It was just. I was at Dave and Buster's, and it was just people were going nuts for Brock. Anything he did was awesome. And it's funny because then Cormier comes out, does the exact same thing, and he's just getting booed. Just no one loves. Goes, that poor guy. He just can't buy any love. Just for some reason,
everyone loves Anderson. Everyone loves Anderson.
Obviously, everyone loves Anderson. But
took it on a day's notice.
Yep.
So.
And so obviously that came about. We heard, John Jones is out. We'll talk about that in a minute. John Jones is out, and they're kicking names around. And then I had a patient in, and he's telling me, he's like, yeah, well, I heard on bjpenn.com, and I was like, well, right there, who knows?
There's some icky stuff on there sometimes.
bjpenn.com is not, it's not the New York Times, okay? But I don't think they're getting any Pulitzer Prizes this year for journalism. But they're quick. And so I was like, well, I'm not buying it just because it's on bjpenn.com that Anderson's gonna go in. So I'm like, I gotta call a guy and find out what the real scoop is. And then I was like, oh my God, it's really gonna be Anderson. So I was all stoked. I was thinking, okay, Anderson's fighting for the light heavyweight title. That's awesome. But then
It's not the light heavyweight title.
no, it's this non-title.
What
What's up with
It would have
that?
been so weak if he would have won and not been the champ.
Yeah,
'Cause you beat the champ.
like that would have been super duper weak sauce. Like,
And
I think the reason why maybe they did that was because I think maybe, not to be too conspiracy about it, but I think if you're in Cormier's camp, you're like, I can out wrestle him for 2 rounds, definitely win 2 of the 3.
See, I was thinking on the other end, maybe because Anderson maybe wasn't, I don't know what type of shape he was in, maybe to go 5 rounds. But I think if it would have went 5 rounds,
He looked like he could have done
Anderson
2 more
would have
rounds.
beat him.
Right at the end of the 3rd, and nobody has talked about this. He kicked him right on the gallbladder, and Cormier went, ugh, like why would you do that? Why did you kick me right there? And he was hurt, but then it was too little, too late.
I think Anderson would have beat him if it went. Well,
If it went 2 more,
if it went 2 more rounds, and he had the chance, and he wasn't doing that much damage from top.
you can go, April. Don't worry. Oh my, it's my assistant, April. She's putting something away. Yeah, I think for me, Anderson, I felt he would have had it, and I would have loved to have seen him win the light heavyweight championship. That would have been awesome. He would have been 2-division champion. Could have had a super fight with Bisping. Could have set up the super fight with St. Pierre. Then, when Jones did eventually come back and get his act together, set up a super fight with Jones, and then Anderson could retire.
Jones is gone for 2 years now, right? For sure, mandatory. That's what everyone's saying.
He's gone.
He's gone.
I know that people well, allegedly he did this, and that he's gone. He's gone. He did it. Both samples came back. He did it. That's the rule.
Not from steroids though.
Well,
Estrogen
it's a
blocker.
banned substance, so as soon as somebody pops for something on this list, people go, "Oh, he's taking up." There's banned substances. There's a lot of things on the banned substances list. Ibuprofen and caffeine and things like that are all regulated as to whether or not you can take it or you can't take it. This that. However, an estrogen blocker
Would be the only reason why you would take steroids.
No,
Or the only reason why you would take estrogen.
if you
because
took
you
steroids,
that'd be the only reason why you take
and
estrogen.
then you
blocker.
or you're dumb and you're trying to get an edge, you know what I mean, or you're
But there's no edge in estrogen
You're-
blocker, right?
well, as far as like definition, like bodybuilding types, type wise, like blocking estrogen. So everybody, like, men have estrogen, women have women have testosterone.
Yeah.
Everybody's got both, but at different ratios, right? So if your testosterone, like if you've been on testosterone for a while, like what happens is, if you've been taking stuff, right, your testosterone levels, your hormone levels will rise, and as your hormone levels rise, the estrogen will also rise with it. So you want to block that so that just the testosterone will rise and not the estrogen. And if guys are coming off of the juice, a lot of times the testosterone is low and the estrogen remains high. Then they get the gynecomastia, the man boobs.
Man boobs. But I've never heard of anybody taking an estrogen blocker unless they're on steroids. That's a fact.
Usually
right?
guys won't. No. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of somebody taking an estrogen blocker?
No, I can't say that I have heard.
Yeah.
But as a physician, I can theorize that why someone might want to take one.
Without taking steroids.
Maybe without taking steroids. They could just be somebody who has slightly, higher levels of estrogen in them, anyways. You know what I mean? Sometimes you eat a lot of soy. Soy has a lot of estrogen promoters. So there's some people, like, they eat a lot of soy. They have that Asian diet. They might want to take an estrogen blocker just to stress. I'm not saying take an estrogen. My phone's ringing off the hook. Hey, Dr. Britton suggested I take this. No, I said in a podcast that could be a reason why people take estrogen blockers. But And I should say the caveat is that it's, you know, the estrogen blocker thing that comes straight from. They haven't released what the substance was, but Chael Sonnen kind of outed them on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
And I believe it. And that was also from a test. There's other tests that happened since that test. That was a test from June. So there's tests from July that haven't even been turned in yet. So Jones is gonna be gone for 2 years. And I don't know if Cormier is gonna still be fighting by the time Jones comes back, so.
Yeah, probably, no. I don't see it. I don't see that fight coming again.
Nope. That fight is gone. Unless they do it at Ryzen. They get released from the UFC and they have a rematch in Japan.
But now the question is, if they get a doctor, can they get somebody who's ahead of USADA and get the new type of steroid strain or whatever it is to beat the test?
Listen, there's anytime whatever new test there is, there's a guy working on beating that test. There's somebody guys gonna want to get that edge. Guys want to get that edge, whether it's a psychological edge or whatever. But I gotta tell you, I think honestly, in this particular situation, I think you're gonna find out that it was just stupidity. It was Jones, you know, some gym bro was like, "Hey, try this. This is a great shake." I think it was probably something like that. I think it was probably a supplement, because he had that press conference, right? And he's crying, and the press is asking him questions like, "Hey, John, so what process is there when somebody approaches you with like a new supplement or something?" And the look on his face was like, "What do you mean? Like, and they're like, oh, do you have like a system? Did you test it in a lab? Does your management, sort of vet the source of that, or?" And he seemed to just have no answer. I don't think he'd ever even crossed his mind.
Do you think he's got to really watch what goes into his body? I mean, he's maybe could be the greatest of all time, behind Anderson.
Maybe.
And he's got to understand whatever goes into his body, and whoever he's hanging out with. I would never take a shake from somebody.
Hold on now. Come on now. All right. So someone comes over from the armbar or something like that, or you walk into the gym and they have those little, we were at a UFC gym and those little shake samples are there.
Somebody's
like,
oh man,
what is this? And you're like, well, again, sometimes these things are made in vats, this and that. So say you're visiting a gym. I'm at, out of town or something like that. Stroll into another UFC gym. You're in a UFC gym, I don't know, New York or something like that. And there they are, they get the little samples out, this and that. Although I'm sure that .fit would in no way have anything contained in it. But let's say it's not a UFC gym. Let's say it's a 24-hour fitness.
Oh, it's NSF
I don't know why
certified with third-party tested.
Right.
Yeah.
So, someone offers you this thing,
gym.
and the next thing you're like, oh yeah, that tasted delicious or something. Yeah. Or someone's a fan of yours. Oh, I saw you fight in Bellator and this and that. Man, I'll buy you this shake. Okay. Or a private student comes over. Hey, I got you a shake, coach.
And you got tested the next day or same day. Yeah. That could happen.
You're feeling down. You're gonna try this Mountain Dew Kickstart. I don't know. Okay. Like, you got to be so careful. And I think like some people's minds haven't caught up to how serious this stuff is, with like how long these suspensions are, and USADA's just like annihilating people's careers for these type of infractions. You're like, whoa.
But I think it's good that you guys are getting caught too, because like Nate Diaz says, everyone's on steroids.
I love that one. They had a press conference. And because that was his whole line, that's what he was saying before, making McGregor mad. So McGregor was like, I'm not on any bloody steroids. And he's like, everybody's on steroids.
See, I know for me, if I'm gonna step into the cage, if I know the guy's 100% clean, I'm cool. But if there's a shadow of a doubt this guy's taking steroids, I don't want anybody to beat me because they're on steroids. And it gives you that edge that you can't get anywhere else. If someone beats me clean, fair, okay, beat me, good, you're better than me, you're stronger than me, whatever. But if you're taking steroids, you're 110% stronger, more aggressive, harder to knock out, you're not going to gas out, and your training regimen up to the fight is way better because you're recovering at a crazy rate. You can do strength and conditioning and spa.
So we were talking about Vanderlei Silva workouts, and you're doing workouts like that, and you're not taking steroids. You are tearing your body apart. I don't even think you're not hitting your peak. You're just like doing these crazy caveman style workouts.
I get just so injured, like every time.
Yeah.
Like something bad would happen to you. I don't think your ligaments can't take it. You know,
No.
and that's the first thing that gives out.
Yeah. The amount of repair that's happening when a person's on steroids is phenomenal. Like everything's repairing itself. The inflammation is down, the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, everything's healing so rapidly that there's no problems. And the guys will follow the same camp and blow their knee out. How many guys are getting injured and blowing their ACLs, and all these things are happening now as the more they clean up the sport, the higher the injury rate is now. So, coaches are gonna have to start looking at different ways to train, periodization, rest days, things like that. It's still Wild West. You know what I mean? Like, the sport's not that old. It's not very sophisticated yet. Obviously, guys can't afford a camp. You can't afford a camp where you're gonna have, your boxing coach and your cardio coach and your strength coach and your jiu-jitsu coach and paying your sparring partners.
Then they all got to be on the same page. Right?
I think the UFC itself should provide the training facilities for their independent contractors. Maybe that's something that'll happen with the new owners.
That'd be real good.
That'd be awesome, right?
Yeah.
Base them out of UFC gyms. We have an infrastructure now. At a certain time of day, it wouldn't be that inconvenient. Like mornings you could run a pro MMA camp at a UFC gym in the morning and nobody would notice. I mean, eventually they'll notice. It's like, it's John Jones or like GSP. I think you might get some people showing up to check it out. But I'm sure there's some ways it could work around that or something. Close a certain room or something.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Pull a sheet across or something and be like, hey.
They have the octagon in there.
Yeah.
It's almost better if people are watching you. It's almost better. You get used to the feel. Like at UFC gym, I always have guys train the octagon because...
For privates, yeah, for sure. Training the octagon, everybody's watching you.
Everyone's watching you. You get used to everybody watching you. And when you step in the cage, it's like, okay, I've been here 100 times before.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any other fights from the weekend that stood out? For me, like that Eddie Alvarez fight, I was like, whoa, he really got it done. I would not have thought that could happen to RDA like that. It just looked like RDA hadn't even started fighting. It looked like he was in the dressing room, and Eddie Alvarez was just like, boom.
He stayed on his feet.
Yeah, that didn't work out so good though. I mean,
yeah, but he didn't go down.
No, but he wasn't doing anything. He just got jumped on. He just was a punching bag,
Yeah, it's pretty scary. He has fast hands.
Yeah.
So now it's McGregor.
I don't think that happens 10 times out of 10.
No.
I think it happened that time, and it was awesome, and he meant to punch him. It's not like the Weidman backhand. You know what I mean? And you can brag about the knockout all you want, but that I threw a punch, missed, and then the backhand slap, easy. That was luck. And even the second time really was luck. There was some skill that preceded the luck, but still the actual endings of both those fights were luck. And no one will ever convince me otherwise, so don't bother. Eddie Alvarez meant to do what he was doing, but it doesn't always work out that perfectly, the things that you mean to do. And that was just like, he had one of his best nights, and RDA just had an off night.
With those small gloves, any hit. Like in boxing, it's a little more predictable.
Yeah.
More padding. You can block. You'll be able to take a shot better. But when you get hit,
you can also punch harder though. Boxing, you can punch
no.
harder because your hand's not gonna break.
You don't think these guys would punch as hard as they can?
Yeah, which is why they break their hands all the time.
But
that changes how hard the next punch can be.
But so Eddie Alvarez threw that punch as hard as he could. I'm saying if he had a boxing glove on, probably wouldn't have done the same amount of damage. You'd be able to recover, block, move. MMA, it's too random.
Yeah, it's a little bit random. That's why you look at some of these divisions and you're like, whoa, this champion can only hold on to that belt for 1 or 2 fights. You're not seeing guys like defend like 8 or 9 times. You're not seeing that.
So how do you market
Silva,
how do you market
St. Pierre type of? Well, it's hard. Like look at the women right now. The women's division, the 135, it's a mess.
Well, that's why I left. I didn't even know who the other girl was. It wasn't even worth me staying.
Amanda Nunes. Well, you're gonna know her now.
Now I know.
She's the girl that dusted Miesha Tate. I mean, she just pounced on her.
Didn't even look like she fought back. Miesha Tate.
You know what
I saw? She
didn't really get a chance to fight back, and then I think her nose probably just got shattered.
And then choke was on the chin.
Choke was on the chin, but hard to breathe out of that bloody, broken nose. I think there's more to that story because she almost missed the weigh-in. Right? She was almost late for the weigh-in. I think there's more to that story.
I think she said she wasn't feeling good.
Well, she looked like she wasn't feeling good. And she's a bit of a... You put a notoriously slow starter in with a notorious fast starter, and you know what you're going to get? Beat.
Yeah.
Unless you can weather what that fast start is.
Well, that's what Nunes Camps was saying, that she's going to finish. She was going to finish in the first round.
Like, when she fought Holly Holm doesn't really strike to get you out of there in that same way. Holly is striking to possibly set up the finish, to for sure win rounds, and possibly finish if the opening comes. Amanda Nunes was just finish was the only thing on her mind, was finishing her fast. That's exactly what happened.
It's kind of crazy that she stood up with Holly Holm, but not with Nunes.
It is crazy. It's just one of those things, you analyze it and you go, okay, well, styles must make fights then. Because now that whole division's a mess. All these great rivalries. You could have had Rousey Holm, you could have had Holm versus Tate, you could have had Rousey versus Tate. Nobody wanted to wait for anybody to come back. And now all 3 of those chicks on the outside looking in, and the payday's not there right now. Something's going to have to reset a storyline for any of those 3 big money fights to happen. Now you've got this
champ, like I'm saying, I don't even know who she is.
Yeah.
I know nothing about her. I don't follow the UFC that close, but I follow it somewhat. I have no idea who she is.
She's just a tough chick that's been kicking ass and taking names. And Juliana Pena now has maybe started a storyline by saying like, I'm coming for you, and she's kind of friends with Miesha Tate, and and she won, the Ultimate Fighter, albeit like 150 years ago now, it seems like. Poor thing really lost her momentum by blowing her ACL. But she's been back. She's undefeated. You got your Venezuelan Vixen, who's maybe moving up as a contender. I said they'd probably take them both, put them on Tough Latin America or something like that. Have the the first 2 women coaches or something like that of Tough Latin America.
It's just promote
build
Cyborg.
Something. Well,
she's not gonna lose.
But she can't. I mean, Cyborg can't get down. So it's like either you create. Yeah, I say make that weight.
She's gonna stay.
Make that weight and have some of these girls that want big fights.
That's a champion that's gonna be solid. That you're gonna be going like, okay,
no one
gonna
is
beat her.
No one.
Who's gonna beat her?
No one's beating her. No one's beating her.
So why don't you make weight? Did it for Ronda Rousey? Why not do it for Cyborg?
Ronda Rousey, was a special circumstance. I don't know what was going on there, but even that was the only division. Why 135? Why not anything else? She had a cool story at the time. It was like, Olympic medalist, won all her fights by arm lock. It was so peculiar that somebody would win all their fights in the same way. Like you wanted to see, could she do it again? Could she do it again? Could she do it again? What was the first time she didn't do that? Was that Sarah McMahon?
She kneed the girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She won with a knee. I think, was that McMahon?
I have no idea.
think
something like that.
I think it might have been McMahon.
Where she nearly knocked her out.
Yeah, and then unfortunately for Ronda, she knocked out Betch Correa with the hands, and I think that's when the delusions of her boxing prowess really started to go off the rails. And you know, still got work to do on those hands.
But anybody can get, even if they're the best, they can still lose with one shot with those little gloves.
You didn't fight enough. If you didn't lose, then you just, you know, that's not a large enough data pool. Nobody is unbeatable, no matter how you manage your career. I mean, even Mayweather, like, oh, he beat this guy, he did that. I don't think he won that Oscar fight. I think Mayweather got beat by De La Hoya, and he got some home cooking, and that's all there was to it. And De La Hoya was past his prime at that point. And you know, like a lot of guys in boxing, they're like, you'll catch him on the way up, like he did with Canelo. Oh, he caught Canelo before Canelo got good enough to give him a good fight, you know, or you catch him on the way back down, you know, like, oh, this guy was a legend, and then I'll catch him, and then this young up-and-comer, ooh, he looks like he's getting good, I don't want to fight him 2 years from now, boom, I'm going to knock this kid off now, so I can say I beat that guy, and I beat that guy, and I beat that guy.
There's too many variables in MMA, too many ways to lose.
Yeah.
Punches, kicks, grounds, too much stuff to get good at. There's no way
I
you
agree.
can stay at the top.
So who do you think comes back? Like, who do you think? Like, what's gonna happen now? Now we got, you know, that women's division is all a mess. I think you've got this weird question now at light heavyweight. Bisping's fighting Dan Henderson now. That's crazy. The Bisping is fighting Dan Henderson for the title. It's like every division, and you've got McGregor fighting outside of his weight category. Meanwhile, Aldo is back in a big way.
Yeah, he looks pretty good. He's not going to rush in before like he did.
No. You see,
he was backing up a lot.
That right hand was glued to his cheek this time. There was no left hook getting through.
Or the sale of the UFC, we're going to see what they do.
Yeah, I think the sale of the UFC is going to be its own podcast. There's not very much information right now. We kind of know. I know who the principals are, but I don't have a lot of like facts or direction. I can't wait to hear like some more press conferences and stuff like that as those details come out. There's a lot of like little complex things like that. You know, like William Morris reps a bunch of athletes who are in the UFC, which is weird because now they're their owners. There's going to be some little weird things to work out.
House, you know?
Yeah. So there's going to be some interesting things with the sale. I think it's going to be exciting though. I think they're going to pump it up. I think you're going to start to see a lot like A-list celebrities hanging out more at the events, and I think it's going to make it a lot more mainstream. I think it's going to be awesome, and I think they're going to have to do more events, and I think they're going to have to pay guys more, and I think it's going to be good. I think a rising tide will float many boats. It's going to be a good time for MMA.
Is that the perfect time for them to take it to the next level?
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got to take it to the lunch level because I'm starving. I got to get out of here. I'm getting the wrap-up signed. What are you up to?
I leave the 19th for UFC Chicago. In Chicago, James Mutasari
Is fighting
the Cowboy.
the Cowboy, the real Cowboy, right?
Yeah.
Did he prove? No, wait. When the Cowboys fought, who won? Was it Cerrone won?
No idea.
They had like the battle of the Cowboys to see who was the real Cowboy. I think maybe Cerrone won. I'm not sure, but that's gonna be a good scrap. That's a good match for James.
Yeah.
James can get that done. Spinning back kick, feather in the cap. Move on. Call up McGregor.
You're still doing Friday night bonuses?
Yeah, they do fight of the night bonuses and performance of the night bonuses.
Yeah.
So James is definitely capable of getting either of those at any given moment, and I'm looking forward to seeing that fight. And you'll be in the corner?
I'll be in the corner with my boot on. Hopefully I can take it off.
Nice. Well, maybe Britton Chiropractic will sponsor that boot. I don't know. It'd have to be a Reebok boot. I think it has to be a Reebok boot, right?
Can you imagine wearing my boot?
You can't wear that boot, sir. It does not say Reebok.
Oh, man.
Reebok, hook this man up with a walking cast, all right? Brandon Bender requires a Reebok walking cast. Let's see if that comes through. All right, my man.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff.
Off into the ether with you.
Yep. If you want to come, UFC Gym Rosemead. We both teach over there.
Come try it out.
Yeah.
There's guest passes.
Yeah.
Get yourself a guest pass. Don't
Yeah.
buy it till you try it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can take some supplements with Top Fit. You'll be fine. That we know.
Yes. Theoretically. Unless they've been tampered by like ninjas or something like that. It's possible.
Well, if ninjas come to the gym.
Yeah, exactly. All right. That's the Art of War. We out.
I fight the enemy